Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Out Today and What I Missed. This time for November 7th, 2025. We have 20 albums for you this week, with 10 that are out today, 10 that I missed along the way. I have one more month of full coverage before we get into Heavy Debriefings top 100 albums of 2025, so there's no real time to dilly-dally. Let's get into it. First up, we have Agnostic Front with Echoes in Eternity. The 13th album from this legendary hardcore, punk, and crossover thrash band continues to show why this style of music still holds up, even 41 years after their debut album. The production on this one hits hard and feels like it's exactly what it needs to be for the music to be effective, with the songwriting arguably hitting stronger than ever before. The band has always been known for their musical style and thematic topics that hit society right in the gut. Echoes in Eternity is no different. Even Daryl DMC McDaniels of Run DMC shows up for an unexpected but welcoming guest appearance. It's a short album as well, at 14 tracks, and the longest still being 2 minutes and 30 seconds in length, which warrants many respins time and time again. Overall, this is everything I love about punk, hardcore, crossover, all rolled into one by a band that has nothing left to prove, but still feels like they need to. If you've ever dug Agnostic Front, you're going to love Echoes in Eternity. Now we have Bliss of Flesh with Metempsychosis. The fifth album from this French black and death metal band celebrates the 25th year of operation with a band that strikes a chord for everyone who has ever loved this genre. The music is grandiose yet never feels self-indulgent, which is really hard to do in this style sometimes. The lyrical concepts on this one are quite the introspection for any of us, and the production on this one feels like a fine balance between just raw enough but just polished enough to hear every layer that is being played. If you enjoy the likes of Gorgoroth, Svartkrone, Naglfar, and Galahorn's Wrath, check out Bliss of Flesh and what they're all about. This is one of the most sophisticated and devastating black and death metal albums of the year. Next up, we have Caskets with The Only Heaven You'll Know. The third album from this UK band is an emotional trip, and it comes out during an emotional time. It is an album that is about going through hell and coming out the other side better and stronger than ever before. And I can speak for almost anyone reading this that the year that we're currently going through, we are going through hell. And I do hope that all of us come out the other side stronger than ever. The production has that 2020s modern rock and metal sound, which is very slick and polished, and the songwriting has the right sequence of notes, no matter the style that they're trying to hit, that they grab hold of you and they do not let go. I will say the vocal delivery will not be for everyone who checks out my list, and maybe even for some people who check out post-hardcore, but if you don't mind this genre and what they are trying to achieve, you'll dig this just the way that I do. This is an album that feels tailor-made for those struggling this year, and it gives even just the smallest glimmer that we can get through this world that we call 2025. That alone gives this an album worth checking out. The rest of it is just a bonus. If you dig Dayseeker, Awaken I Am, I Prevail, and Villain of the Story, check out Caskets. Next up, we have Cold Steel with Discipline and Punish. The debut album from this Tampa band takes the crossover thrash and hardcore styles and turns them on their head. So much of this album hits what you would expect from these genres, but it also has moments of genre bending that really make this album stand out. I hear moments of nu metal, I hear doom metal, and it goes into so many different ventures on that soundstage. On paper, it feels like maybe it shouldn't work, but if you love aggressive music, they do such a magnificent job of blending all of this together. For those who enjoy Power Trip, DRI, Harm's Way, and Gridiron, Cold Steel is a band that you need to check out, and you'll be so glad that you did. Now we have Deconstructing sequence with Tenebris, Cosmicis, Tempora. I really hope I got that right. The sophomore album from this Polish band instantly grabbed my attention. Their blend of black metal that infuses progressive, death, avant-garde, and so much more takes a genre that is known for its extreme edge and kicks it up an even further notch. The themes about this one is about the destruction of humanity and what comes next, which perfectly matches the music on display, feeling like an unholy and annihilating take on Doheimsgard, Arcturus, and Akerkaki. The production is raw, but what comes from this territory doesn't feel unlistenable. It works to perfection. Overall, this feels like a grand and a very depressing look at our society, but that's also truly needed. If you like your black metal on the far reaches on the extreme, you need to check this one out. Next up is a band name and an album title I feel like I'm gonna get wrong, so I deeply apologize if I do. Ildaruni with Divinum Sanguinem. I hope I got that right. The sophomore album from this Armenian band is such a stunning display of how to make atmospheric black metal. The band has learned well from the past and incorporated it into their sound with enough modern influences to make them more than a carbon copy of the sound, to create an album for those who love black metal simply in general. The music truly feels dark and evil in a way that you just don't get from some bands in this style anymore. The production is raw, but not unlistenable. It's done with the nuance to heighten the experience. The songwriting is done on a grand scale, and it feels like it's taking you on a whirlwind of the occult. For any fans of Rotting Christ, Enslaved, Dissection, and Winder, you need this band, and I hope you give them a proper listen. Next up is another band name and album title that I'm going to try my best to get right. Mourniaty with Musta. The debut album from this Finnish outfit has taken the pagan black metal and symphonic black metal genres with such ease, creating for some of the best of both genres. You can hear the sheer dismay for the Christianity on this one and the anger that comes from it. They have found refuge in paganism. While the music is dead set in the black metal realm, you can hear a sign of relief in the music as well, or maybe it's just really cathartic to hear someone else talk about the hardships that Christianity has brought to the world, especially in 2025. The music is raw, but in an atmospheric way, and everything can be heard with pure clarity. The songs are written with full purpose and feel inspiring to hear time and time again. And when you add the symphonic sound on top of everything else, it only heightens the music's sophistication, and it feels so good to hear. Especially for a debut album, this has such huge potential to change how pagan black metal can sound going forward. If you want to mix of bands like Emperor, Bellingham, and Emperor, make sure to check out Mourniaty. Go check them out right now. Now we have Omnium Gatherum with May the Bridges We Burn Light the Way. My favorite Melodeath band is back and stronger than ever. The band returns for their 10th album and it's quite the statement. The band is taking their grand mix of Melodeath, occasional genre bending, and more clean vocal approaches with the catchy songwriting that they can accomplish and created an album that hits every era of the band so far while still forging towards the future. Also, when you take into account that Speed from Soilwork, Juha from Swallow the Sun, and Jens Borgen, and even Marcus from Omnium Gatherum and Insomnium all have their hands in the production side of this album, you know it's going to make for one of the best sounding albums of the year. Just on that standpoint, this is one of the best sounding albums from the band to date. The songwriting has everything that brought me into the band all those years ago in 2013's Beyond. The melodies and harmonies are always what sucker me into the band, and they never leave my mind. It's also great to have a band that is so laser focused on making more positive sounding songs in a genre that is known for being so depressing. While I can see why people may not dig this one, I've noticed some people simply hate clean vocals in Melodeath or even the poppier catchy moments, so they can't be saved. This is on fast track to be one of my favorite albums from the band. Is it at Beyond or the Burning Cold levels for me yet? It's too early to tell, but I can say this is one of the finest Melodeath albums of the year. You aren't going to find much better this year when it comes to Melodeath, or music in general, than Omnium Gatherum. Here we have Novembre with Words of Indigo. At long last, we have the first album in 9 years, and the 9th album overall from one of the most underappreciated gothic bands to ever exist. The band has always pushed the boundaries on every album, and Words of Indigo may be their most forward-thinking and envelope-pushing albums from the band to date. The band hits more towards the alternative and gothic elements of the band's sound compared to their Death Doom that they have been pushing, but don't get me wrong, that Death Doom sound is still here in full force. But it's nice to see the band pushing their dynamics to the brim and expanding even further. For someone who loves all the genres that they attach themselves to, this hits everything I love about the band, from Latter Day Anathema to Early Day My Dying Bride to Novembre's Doom to the entirety of the career of Green Carnation. The production is top notch, and how could it not be when you have Dance Mono mixing and mastering this album? Sometimes you just want to have an album that can hit so many dark genres that you love, but it's done in such an earnest way. And that's what Novembre continues to do now with Words of Indigo. If you love any genre that I just got done talking about, give this one a proper listen and discover your new obsession. And finally, for brand new albums out today, we have Unwell with Allegoria. The third album from this Detroit band hits that pocket of my musical taste that is always a treat to discover time and time again, in that pop punk and hard rock style. While not reinventing the wheel in any way, they don't need to. They are mixing the hard rock and pop punk genres in a way that feels authentic and earnest. The production is what you would expect from the style, and it's done magnificently. The songwriting is a bit darker and real compared to what you normally get in these genres, and it makes it feel like an emotional roller coaster. The vocal range is much more in the middle, so if you hate the high-pitched falsetto pop-punk vocals, you are safe to listen to this one. I'd recommend this one to anyone who enjoys the mix of A Day to Remember, Dayseeker, The Used, and Grey Wind. This is some absolutely hard-hitting music done in just the right way of mainstream. Give this one a proper spin, as I think anyone who can appreciate hard rock and pop-punk will find something to appreciate about this one. And now for everything that I missed along the way, starting with Action Adventure with Ever After. The third album from the Chicago band does so much of what I love about pop punk, but also makes it way heavier, making for an amazing balance. The production on this one fits like a glove, and the songwriting knows when to be as catchy as possible and when to show off their aggressive side. It feels like as if A Day to Remember never lost its magic. Yeah, you heard me. I also hear bands like Chief State, Belmont, 4 Year Strong, and Census Fail. At 13 tracks and a few seconds shy of 40 minutes, this feels like a perfect length for the album of this style, and something that could easily fit into a main support slot if they do the whole album in its entirety. Pop punk has gotten heavier over the years, but if you've disregarded it in the past, you should give Action Adventure a proper listen. You just may be pleasantly surprised. Now we have Aephanemer with Utopie. The fourth album and my first foray into this French band instantly won me over from a random YouTube discovery on Hot Sexy Singles for the Heavy Debriefings podcast, which you should go check out. And I have been floored ever since. I would have covered this last week, but I received the promo mere hours after I finished up last week's videos and write-ups, and there's no way I could have skipped this one. It has everything I love, from the sophisticated and captivating songwriting, to the melodies and harmonies that'll be stuck in your head to days, to the technical proficiency that you just need to hear to be believed. Mix in that perfect balance of Melodeath and symphonics, and you have a band that more than deserves your love. Imagine Children of Bodom, Winter Sun, Eternal Tears of Sorrow, and Mors Persimpium Est all roll into one. This style is dangerously underused in 2025, and I'm so happy a band like Aephanemer has returned to showcase why the genre still matters. This simply rules. Now we have Anthology with Frozen Sun. The third album from the Slovakian band has been on my list of albums to cover for quite a while now, but I finally got to it. I wish I'd gotten to it sooner though, as this is a stellar album for the melodic power metal genre. It hits all the moments to make power metal, symphonic metal, and it's all intertwined subgenres working together in perfect harmony. From the powerful vocals, both clean and growled, to the excellent musicianship making the music hit harder and feel so triumphant. The production is the perfect balance, and every layer feels like it's right where it should be. If you enjoyed the recent albums of Glacia, Revengeance, and Stormbreaker, Anthology should be right up your alley. This is a perfect display of the sheer brilliance that melodic power metal still brings. Do not miss out on this one. Next up, we have Darkseal with Arrivals. 5 albums in 13 years from this pagan black metal band out of Czechia, and it's a wondrous release. With a dark and raw atmosphere, the songs on this album have this sinister tone to them that capsulates you while feeling like it's pulling you in for the kill. While feeling grand in scale, it's only 6 songs in almost 36 minutes, making this album feel like a grand adventure that flies by. The songwriting is off the charts, and the musicianship on hand is easily some of the best that I've heard in 2025. If you dig bands like Escapism, Uada, Holder, and Outrest, you are sure to love what Darkseal brings, as this album is completely and utterly stellar. Now we have Empire Drowns with Endless Nights. The sophomore album from this Danish outfit harkens back to the past with its style of melodic death doom, while still expands upon itself in very unexpected ways. You'll hear moments of that classic 90s death doom sound that also passages for sheer dark beauty and a little genre bending that makes the music even more mesmerizing. The production has this vintage feel, and the overall songwriting is tragic but compelling in a way that only this genre can display. If you enjoy Paradise Lost, Early Day Catatonia, but you want to mix it with Serpent God, Rotting Christ, and Arouse the Darkness, Empire Drowns has you covered. This is satisfying melodic death doom in a way that needs to be heard to be appreciated. Next up, we have Harvest with For the Souls We Have Lost. The debut album from this Italian band hits right at home with a deep, dark genre of Gothic Doom. It's an album that feels raw and primal, but it adds this extra sense of dread and sorrow into its themes and its delivery. The production is raw and human, while the songwriting has the signature charm of the genre that hits you right in the gut, but it leaves you wanting more. It's also considerably short for a Gothic Doom album at 6 songs and 36.5 minutes long. But if you enjoy the likes of recent albums from Atone, Orphans of Dusk, and Woad, give Harvest your proper attention, as this is the kind of Gothic Doom metal that deserves to be heard, and that is more than deserved. Now we have Impermanence, with an album title that I hope I get right, Enika. The debut album from this up-and-coming Polish band is a perfect blend of tech death and black metal rolled into one. It never gets too far into the weeds on either side of the equation, with being technical but not over the top, blackened but never raw, and a full-on death metal assault but just at the right dose. The band knows how to make everything meld together into a palatable and enjoyable experience. The production is right where it should be for a style like this, and the songwriting is well crafted and never lingers for too long. Another short slab here with 8 songs and almost 36 minutes of all killer, no filler. If you want a mix of bands like Pathos, Behemoth, and Apogene, Impermanence has delivered one of the best blackened tech death albums of the 2020s. Give it a proper spin and enjoy. Next up, I'm going to completely butcher this, so please apologize. This is Melodeath with Milicia, Le Noche de las Brujas. After discovering this band last year, they have returned with their 17th album, and it is an album that is perfect for the season. A concept album on witches based on the band itself. The band does a stunning display of Celtic folk metal sung in Spanish that leaves you intrigued and singing along. Per usual, the album is filled with so many earworms and catchy moments that won't leave your head for days. The production is filled with so many layers, and as expected, but it gives you a reason to keep going back time and time again and discover something new. While not being able to translate anything for the language, I do love the vocal melodies and harmonies, and it feels so satisfying to listen to. While I know there's some people that are having a hard time with the band as of late due to lineup changes in the recent years, this is an album that is more than worthy of your time, whether you're a new fan or old. If you've ever enjoyed the band, or you just want a different take on Celtic folk metal and you've never checked this band out before, you need to check this one out. While I may have missed out on this one for Halloween, it still more than holds up for the rest of the year. Now we have Primitive Man with Observance. The 4th album from this Denver band is a pure shock to the system, even for a Primitive Man fan. Every time I hear the band, I am always flabbergasted by how much noise they're able to get out of a 3-piece band, but they always find a way to get heavier, angrier, and somehow on Observance, grander in a scale than ever before. This is somehow also the most uplifting album the band has ever done to date, despite how it might sound, especially if you've never checked out the band before. Shifting from being a band that is all about the darkest subject matter and nihilism, this album is about finding a way to persevere through the darkness, which again, you may not expect, but trust me, it's there. The production is gargantuan, and it helps make every song feel like a colossal behemoth. If you enjoy the likes of Godflesh, Thou, Indian, and Dragged into Sunlight, and somehow have never heard of Primitive Man, you need to rectify that immediately. This is one of the most dense, destructive, cathartic, and oddly uplifting albums of 2025. And finally today we have Vendiamond with Vendiamond 3. The 3rd album from this now full-fledged band hailing from Tasmania is a creative and intriguing slab of blackened death metal. On the first 2 albums it was a one-man band affair, but now hearing the band in a full-fledged lineup, it really makes the band so much stronger. This is a band that can focus on pure chaos, but it refines it with just enough melody and harmony to make everything palatable and presentable for a wider audience. The production is a bit raw, but it fits the mold. The songwriting is sophisticated and filled with a sense of cold, dark dread that needs to be heard to fully grasp. The fact that the band can toe the line between black metal and melodeath in such a way that never leans too far into one direction is a wonderful thing to hear. If you enjoy the likes of Raven's Blood, Galahorn's Wrath, Rotting Demise, and Psychroptic, Vendiamond should be more than satisfying your needs. This is excellent work. And there you go, folks, another 20 albums down and 960 albums covered in 2025 so far for Out Today and What I Missed. So what'd you think? Did I cover some good albums, some bad albums, anything that you're going to check out, anything that you're going to steer clear of, anything that I missed? Please let me know down below. And of course, I can think of 2 particular albums that I did not get the promos for that will show up next week. Trust me, they're going to be there. And make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We're inching ever closer to 2,000 subscribers on here. It's amazing how shifting from mainly doing interviews to reviews has gotten everything up on the channel, but I truly appreciate that you're checking everything out. And make sure to come back next week as we do Out Today and What I Missed for November 14th, 2025. And until then, for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, this is Josh Ronquist saying, embrace the skullet.